Thank you all for tuning in. The following is a presentation of Bald Spots Productions. Be sure to like, comment, and share. Subscribe, follow, whatever it is you've got to do to kick that algorithm into gear and help us reach more people. Yes, it is I, your humble host, Bill Hatch the Third, coming to you live from the Playtime Studios of Bald Spots Productions here in the beautiful city of Malden, Missouri. Joining me from more than acceptable safe social distances are my guests for today, Russell Vann. Hey, how you doing, Russ? And also Genma Knightwalker. Ooh, I'm doing great. And how are you doing, Genma? Okay,
Good.
so
Just woke up for this.
okay, no problem. I can understand that feeling. Uh, sometimes mornings are hard, but let's see. First question I always ask everyone is, "Who are you reading?" So we'll start with you, Genma. Who or what are you reading right now?
Currently, I am reading a series by the name of Amulet. It was released when I was a kid. I started it up back in 2015, and it's released a new book this year. So I've been trying to catch up on all the new books that the creator has released because he's inspired me for doing my stuff.
Okay,
His name
great,
his name is Kazui Hitoshi, I believe. He was the author of it and a big inspiration to me.
great.
And
And
that's all
Russell,
really,
how about
because I
you?
don't
Who are
try
you
to.
reading? Oh,
No, I was
go
done.
ahead.
I was done. That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay,
I finished up what I was trying to say.
okay.
What it
Sorry
was
about
just
that.
lagging on my
And
end.
Russ, who are you reading? Oh, no problem. Seem to be having some difficulties with Russell's connection right now.
Oh
So,
yeah.
okay. Well, we wait for Russell to unfreeze. Um, so, oh, and we lost him entirely. Okay. Well, we'll just chat until he comes back. Um, so, what kinds of things are you working on yourself?
I am currently
What are
working
your
on
projects?
finishing up a company. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so there's like a couple second delays between your questions. Sorry about that. I didn't hear it. I heard the question though. So what I've been working on is my studio, my company. I've been trying to expand. I am the co-owner slash founder of Crimson Ivory Studios. We are a company that's trying to do what Marvel and DC does, like releasing comic books, but we're also trying to bring in manga, anime, books, whatever you have it, of multiple types, and we're trying to release them out to the world. We're trying to be a studio that connects all forms of fiction into one single story. Because if you think about it, Marvel, DC, anime, anything, they all have forms of stuff that are similar to each other. And I thought, what if you just merge them all into one single story? Because if you're a fan of DC, you might like that Marvel story. If you're a fan of Marvel, you might like that DC. DC might like anime, so on and so forth. So I'm trying to take all forms of that medium and merge it into one. And that's what our studio is.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
It's going to be a book. It's going to be a book. Thank you. It's going to be a book. It's going to be a podcast. It's going to be anything as long as we can get ourselves to do it. Because this has been in the work for like 10 years, ever since I was 11. So I've been trying to make it get out there and publicized. Right now, we currently have our first two books out, actually. So that's good to do. And it's just hard for us to get the word out there. So we're trying to do that.
That's pretty neat. I like the I like the idea there. Getting having I mean the whole universe of stories thing is pretty neat, and Marvel did a pretty good job to start. Just kind of having some stumbling blocks right
Can you hear
now
me, Bill?
because they got too few
Yeah.
people doing too many stories. But
Yeah. So
but no, that's pretty cool.
Mm.
So, what can you tell us about some of the stories?
So far, we have one
So this is
single
kind of like what
story
we were
out
doing
currently,
before,
as we're
right?
trying to just explain and like show what our story and our universe is. And once people start
Yeah, but
liking
now
that book series, and who knows, they might check out our other book series, which are all going to be connected to each other. Then eventually, there might be other companies that might want to work with us due to how much not money, but how many people would be liking our stuff, which would be like DC and Marvel and all those type of companies. They would then publish books through us, which then we would connect to our stories and making one single form of fiction, essentially. And that's what we're trying to do with our first book, our first book series, essentially.
Okay.
It's gonna have a different references, different forms of things you've probably seen in other shows and TV, but we're gonna take that and redo it for our story, so it's like a reference,
Mm-hmm.
so that people would want to go back on those
Just
references, say,
telling
"Hey,
Russell what he
isn't that
needs to
from
do.
Marvel? Check out." Okay, yeah, yeah, I saw his camera and mic not being able to display, so.
you just send the email. We're gonna get the. Can you hear me?
Seems to be having difficulties connecting with the server.
Yeah, it says on my end
No
too,
internet
having
connection.
issues communicating with our servers, trying to reconnect.
All right.
No, don't leave.
What?
Don't leave.
What just happened? Oh, it's just us in here.
Okay. Okay, and I'm back.
Whoa, yeah.
Can you hear me all right? Genma, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a
Sorry
connection.
about that. Yeah. Yeah, it said it was having difficulty connecting to the servers.
Technical issues.
Yeah.
I hope we're still not live, because that would suck doing it and like it gets cut off
No,
like
we
this.
weren't actually live. I record in advance, but I record going
Okay,
live to
that's
tape,
good.
so it's as though it's live.
Ah, okay.
But yeah,
Thanks, Bill, for having me on.
ain't no problem. An adventure always.
I noticed.
But but yeah, but to get back to our subject at hand, um, no, it sounds like a really fascinating concept and way of doing things. You were talking about the story you have out right now, and
Yes.
when I got disconnected. So so yeah, whatever more you can tell us about that. How did you get started on in the subject of like
So,
anime and comic books and all that?
so throughout this whole my life, I've always had mental illnesses, ADHD and
Okay.
autism, respectively. And because of
Hmm.
it, I have found forms of talents that I can do, but wasn't exactly good at all of them. So I picked up a book one day, just like a how-to guide for dummies, and I figured, I like books. I really like books. So I switched from a how-to guide on dummies to my second book I've ever read was It Chapter 1, and I was about 11 at the time. It was a whole graphic, the whole big old book of it. And I read it and everything, and that's what made me fall in love with books in general. One day I was in the library and I saw a comic book at the corner of my eye. I grabbed it and I picked it up. Comic books are what introduced me into the world of anime, graphic novels, and all of that because they're all similar media. They're all drawn and animated
Hmm.
like characters. So they have all given me access to the media known as I guess storytelling and books the media would be called, because that's what comic books anime
Hmm.
have gotten me to. I read my first comic book, which was worth $500 at that point. It was a first edition too. It was Miles Morales' first edition he's ever got released in,
Oh,
but
okay.
it was a misprint. His logo wasn't even on his chest in the cover of the photo. It was a misprint. It was worth a
Ooh.
lot of money. Yeah, that's what made me start liking comic books, and then I discovered anime or well, manga specifically in one of the comic book sections one day, like the library I was at. The comic books
Mhm.
had a manga lodged in the shelf like a kid didn't put it back, and I pulled it out and I really liked it.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
don't want to drag on about that.
No, no. No, that's
Okay.
pretty cool. I actually have a comic book collection myself from back in the '80s. Peter
Ah,
Parker
amazing.
Spider-Man, yeah, yeah, it's just kind of taking up space at this point. But but yeah, I loved comic books as a kid. My first comic book was an X-Men miniseries that I traded another kid something for, and I have them somewhere. Uh, they're in the comic book. They're in bags in a box.
Ah, that's amazing.
But yeah, and but yeah. Whereabouts? Without getting too specific, whereabouts are you located?
Oregon?
Oregon. Oh, okay, cool.
Oregon,
Um,
yeah.
okay. Yeah,
I can give this
my
I can give the
grandfather.
state.
Yeah, my grandfather was originally from the northern part, outside of Portland. Um,
Huh.
used to have a lot of family up that way, but they moved as people do. Yeah, I used to be in California, but now I'm out in Missouri, and so different time zone. but but yeah, well that's cool. Looks like you also got some art up there behind you. I see you got the screen and and other stuff. What are
uh,
some other interests you have?
yeah. I like playing video games. I like watching TV that's not like animated like characters, comics and all that. I like getting my
Okay.
body full of tattoos and ink. I like getting
Ah.
piercings. I like doing all those basic stuff. Just
Okay.
trying to chill on enjoying life because I was rushing throughout my entirety of being a kid, so I'm trying to slow it down for a little bit. So what's gonna happen with Russell?
Well, it looks like he keeps trying to connect, but he's having some difficulty getting connected. So yeah, so I guess we're not gonna probably not gonna have the roundtable today, but that's okay. I can that's one of the great things about having multiple guests is if one has difficulty or can't get on, then I've still got one left. So what else? What are your ultimate hopes and dreams for the for what is it? Shoot, I can't remember the name of it now.
Our studio.
Crimson Ivory Studio.
Oh, that's simple. Yeah, Crimson Ivory Studio.
Yeah, what is your ultimate goal? I mean, are you looking to become the next Marvel Studios or?
Essentially, yes, but not exactly. I don't want to become the next Marvel or DC because that sounds very selfish. I I kind of want to, but not to for my own benefit. I want to get that big, that popular, that well
Okay.
known, but just so that people could start knowing about us, start saying, "Hey, that's a cool idea. What if I write my own story and I publish it through you guys? Is that possible?" We'd say yes to practically everyone. Marvel and DC aren't exactly what? They're not exactly a publishing studio. They're more or less a bookstore. Yeah, just a comic book store essentially. So I took that idea of a comic book store, but I took it, merged it with a library, and thought, what if we just released all forms so that you'd like it? Like some people don't like reading books, they like hear it. Okay, we have an audio book. Our main goal is to essentially have all forms of media so that fans would like it in all different ways. Because DC only has movies and comic books. Anime has animes, comic books, maybe podcasts, TV shows, and all that. But they all have their own forms of media. That's why I want one type of story for now with all forms of media. Hey, if you're an anime lover, check out our anime. Hey, you're a book lover, check out our book. You like graphic novels? Well, our art's pretty good. You like podcasts? Well, we give live readings of it, so on and so forth. And some of those might be free, some of those might cost money. In general, I just wanted to like make people happy.
Sure.
The way DC and Marvel is working right now is they're not really making their fans happy with the way their stuff is going. So I thought that hey, since they're not doing a
Yeah.
well job right now,
Yeah. No kidding.
maybe if our studio comes out, we might be able to do we might be able to do a better job until they start getting back on their feet. No one is liking their movies really, and that's just sad. Their comic
Yeah.
books aren't doing that well either. Like other anime companies too, they're like getting not a lot of attention because of the way they're treating their workers and all of that. I'm essentially just trying to be a more humane version of what's already out there. Just because the fact that we're all comic book lovers, all anime lovers, they're all nerds, they're all geeks at heart. We should all get along. We shouldn't not like us something. We should all like this thing and just come together for it. And that's where our studio is going to come in. I know that sounds self pretentious or like self righteous, but I honestly believe with the right instruments, this studio has the capability of succeeding pretty well.
That's awesome. No, I really hope you. I hope you do succeed. Because yeah, because there's definitely
Can you hold on a quick
a
second?
lot of room out there for somebody.
Can you hold on a quick second?
Go
I want
ahead.
to make sure I'm in the right angle cuz
Sure. Okay.
yeah, okay, thank you. It's my back.
No problem.
Okay, yeah, this is better.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Um, yeah, I think there's a lot of room out there for an ethical, a more ethical group, a more ethical studio. Because yeah, definitely hear horror stories about how people are getting treated in some places.
Yeah, that's why I want to be more humane cuz no one should be treating like that, especially if they work for you.
Mhm. Absolutely. I'm actually working on a book series on what I call ethical leadership, which um, focuses a lot on treating people fairly and humanely, as you put it. Um, and so you know, I can definitely understand that. But at any rate, was there anything else that you wanted to talk about? We've been going for about a
Actually I
half
do have a
hour,
question.
and that's usually how long my one to
Actually I do have a
ones.
Okay.
Sure,
Yeah, I have a question for you.
go ahead.
I'm new to this whole situation. How many people do usually watch this stuff? Because I'm not really into like full on podcasting as I haven't done it much.
Well, we've
So like
had
how
up
many
to 20,000 viewers on YouTube before.
Wow, that's a lot of YouTube views.
Yeah,
That's
which
really
isn't
good amount.
bad.
I
I
didn't
mean,
expect
I
that.
definitely want to definitely get more. But and then we're on like a half dozen different podcasting platforms, and then I put the video out on Facebook too. So it all depends on
Ah,
the episode and and how things go. So, um,
okay, yeah.
but yeah, so we might get a few views out of this. Um, and then this year, I'm planning on doing some short form content. So we'll get hopefully even more views um, and listeners. But but yeah, let's see.
Am-
So it's this is about as long as I normally do one-to-one interviews. The roundtables usually go a little bit longer, but since Russell seems unable to come back, um, so unless there was something else you wanted to talk about, then we'll go ahead and call it a day now. Leave them wanting more.
okay. Question though, before we go,
So as
am
I
I able
usually
to
I
promote the
usually ask,
website? Like, if
okay,
sorry for the cutoff. I'm a little bit behind on the microphone hearing, so whatever you say, it's like a couple seconds delayed.
yeah,
I I was just trying to ask
yeah, I've
if
noticed.
I'm allowed to. Okay. I'm just trying to make sure I'm allowed to, promote the website itself because it's a weird URL. They won't be able to find it just by typing in our name on Google.
I normally put the links in the description so people don't have to worry about
Oh,
that. But yeah, go ahead.
okay, that's good enough
You
for
can
me.
say it. Okay.
Oh,
Well,
okay,
before
thank
we
you.
go, I always ask my guests
hmm
if you have any final words for the nice people.
Just have a good life and try to be nice to each other, honestly. That's just it, honestly. I just got to say I had a fun time today. Even though it could have been better with like the whole connection issues. For what it got, it's pretty
Yeah,
good. I liked it. I liked it a lot.
yeah, yeah. I think it went well. Thank you. Um, yeah, so thanks everybody for tuning in. Be safe out there. Remember to wash your hands and stay tuned for the ending credits. Thank you all for tuning in. This has been a presentation of Bald Spots Productions. I'd like to thank our producer, my beloved mother, Eileen Hatch. I, of course, am your humble host. I'd also like to thank my special guests, Genma Knightwalker and Russell Vann, despite his difficulties connecting. Support the show if you feel so led over on patreon.com. We're known as Bald Spots Pro. Don't you dare miss YWL Online. You can find us on Facebook, YouTube, and wherever fine podcasts are offered. Be sure to tune in next time when my special guests will be Chris Miles, the cash flow expert and anti financial advisor, and Tom Walker, author of the escape story Run Toward the Blazing Sun. Be sure to like, comment, and share. Subscribe, follow, whatever it is you've got to do to kick that algorithm into gear and help us reach more people. If you or someone you know needs support now, call or text 988 or chat 988lifeline.org. That is the suicide and crisis lifeline here in the United States.